Now, of course, it's time to look at the threes. We've done the aces and we've done the twos. So we're looking at the Three of Wands, the Three of Cups, the Three of Swords, and the Three of Discs. Now, so these cards in the astrological terms, we're going on to the second decade of the cardinal elements, the cardinal signs of the zodiac: Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So the twos cover the first 10 degrees of when we move from the solstice and the equinoxes. So they're the start of things, and the threes are the establishment of something as a real kind of thing that's going on. A bit confusing here. So when we also look at the threes, we're looking at the third Sephiroth on the tree of life, which is Binah. Binah means understanding, and Binah refers to the feminine side, the queen. So on the twos are the kings, the threes are the queens, and in a triangle, the two of the 2 points, the third one is the manifestation of something. It's the point of the child being born. We haven't got to the child, of course, because we've only just had to find the man and the woman. But in this case, we'll look at what Crowley says in the Book of Thoth about what happens with the threes. These cards are referred to Binah. In each of them is expressed the symbolism of understanding. The idea has become fertilized. The triangle has become formulated. So there's a lot of sexual energy that's going on in here, and actually in the supernal triangle between the twos and the threes, it's all about sex magic. Didn't tell you that. So, in each case, the idea is of a certain stability which can never be upset, but from which a child can issue. Now, of course, in the old days, you had to be married to have children, so there's a kind of creation of stability, and the stability is within the middle 10 degrees, the 10 to 20 degrees of each sign that we're looking at. So it starts off with the initial onrush of energy with each first 10 degrees of the solstice and the equinoxes. Now we're stabilizing things, and it's a very fertile period. So, from which a child can issue. So he's talking about sex magic. So there isn't this section's been a lot shorter than the previous sections, fortunately for you. So we start off with the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is accordingly the Lord of virtue. The idea of will and dominion has become interpreted in character. So there's the Knight of Wands in the first one. He starts off rushing in, I'm going to do everything, and now he's kind of settling down a little bit with the threes. He's become virtuous. This one here is the macho kind of thing. Now he's kind of become a bit more of a father figure on the whole sort of thing that's going on there. What's next? The Three of Cups is called the Lord of Abundance. Okay. The idea of love has come to fruition. So there's the Two of Cups. There's love, and it has become, so the dolphins are the symbol of love and fertility as well. It's come into fruition. There's abundance. It's an overflowing of things. There's it's like the harvest time. There's an abundance of apples or strawberries, and there's a glut almost of things that are going on. The idea of love has come to fruition. Love meaning people get together and make a baby. But now this is now sufficiently far down the tree to introduce a very definite differentiation between the suits, which is not previously possible. So now the idea of the Two of Cups is duality. There's two people kind of get together. The Three of Cups is very much this idea of fertility and creativity that's coming out now, and it's abundant. It just overflows. Kind of sexual connotations there as well, as I'm sure you can probably work out. So then we come to the Three of Swords. This is a trickier subject. As you know, Three of Swords, sorrow. Not such a happy card. The previous one we had the Two of Swords and this idea of peace. And of course with the mind it's always having thoughts and all these kind of things going on. So the idea of peace is before all these thoughts come along. And so with the Three of Swords, you have this idea of separation. The thoughts are creating division within the mind. The idea of the sword is to cut things through. So these thoughts are creating a mess. So there he goes on to, he talks about the Three of Swords. The idea of division, of mutability. Division is separating, mutable, it's always changing, it's fluctuating. It's not a very stable kind of thing, which is kind of interesting because when we see the Three of Swords, it's ruled by Saturn. Okay, Saturn is a heavy card, heavy planet rather. Manifests, so the idea of the airy quality of things manifests itself in the Three of Swords, the Lord of Sorrow. Here one is reminded of the darkness of Binah. And Binah is dark, it's black. And also the three is associated with Saturn as well. The twos is Jupiter. The threes are with Saturn. Saturn is dark, and you get the black brothers and all this kind of connotation of darkness and heaviness that goes with it. Of the mourning of Isis, and then we come into this whole idea of Isis and Osiris, and Osiris being broken into pieces. But this is not any vulgar sorrow dependent upon any individual disappointment or discontent. It is Weltschmerz, the universal sorrow. It is the quality of melancholy. Melancholy comes back again to Saturn. It's a melancholy planet. Finally, we have the Three of Discs. Okay. Work. We've got works here. The Three of Pentacles in a similar manner. Again, Crowley starts off in this section talking about pentacles, but when he talks about the individual cards themselves, they become discs, and that's really who they are. The Three of Pentacles in a similar manner exhibits the results of the idea of Earth. The idea of Earth. We're not talking about this solid reality here, because we're still up in the supernals. We're in a place where it's very hard to get to. If you work through the levels of degrees of the Golden Dawn system, you know, 6 is kind of the highest everyone really ever gets. Up there is for the top dogs. So the Three of Discs in a similar manner exhibits the result of the idea of Earth, of the crystallization of forces. So the crystallization of forces, and here on the Three of Discs, you see the three circles there. They're the three gunas. That is what he's talking about. He's talking about the three gunas, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, which is creation, maintenance, and destruction. You kind of have that. The Tamas is the destruction that's going on in the Sorrow card. The Rajas would be the Three of Wands virtue. It's a purity of action. And then you have the words. It continues. The Three of Pentacles, or Three of Discs, in a similar manner, exhibits the result of the idea of Earth, of the crystallization of forces. And so, the Three of Pentacles is called the Lord of Work. Something has definitely been done. So you've had to go through this process of fire, water, and air to separate, and then it comes back into the Earth. It's a creation of whatever you're manifesting.